Good morning, everybody, and a happy Tuesday morning from Naples. I'm still here. A big thank you to that one on Twitter for the picture you're looking at above. There's hardly any royal family news in here. It's mostly Harry and Meghan stuff. I'm so sorry. I can only report on what I see, but there's a lot, so let's just jump in and get busy, shall we? Let's go. We're starting off today with the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester. This past Sunday, the Danish royal family had events that mark the 80th anniversary of Denmark's liberation in Copenhagen, and of course the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester were in attendance, along with King Frederick, Queen Mary, Queen Marguerite, all the royal family. First, they attended a peace service at Our Lady's Church, which also brought together representatives from the government, parliament, ministries, defense, foreign ambassadors, etc., etc. And then afterwards, they attended a memorial service in another area, I can't pronounce it, sorry, where several resistance fighters are laid to rest. And of course, as they were walking past, you see the wreaths above, you were able to see their wreaths that they, put out as well. Absolutely gorgeous. Let's move on to King Charles. He was spotted out and about for the very first time since Harry's ridiculous car crash interview. He was seen smiling and waving to well-wishers. He attended a church service in Sandringham while he's staying at the royal estate over the weekend, and he looked pretty healthy to me. What's being reported is that Charles and the entire royal family, quite frankly, is hoping that nothing is going to detract or distract from the VE Day commemorations this week, which is going to, it's coming up. And of course, I think we all know that Harry and Meghan are trying to do something. So on Monday, there's a military procession through central London, and then members of the royal family will go out onto the Buckingham Palace balcony. So it's not over. I'm sure Harry and Meghan are going to do something. They always do something. But by the way, this year's commemorations, as an FYI, are the first to take place without any of the royals who were present 80 years ago. Unbelievable. All right, let's move on. Now, articles are coming out now about the police protection because a lot of the Sussex squad are going, well, everybody else has it, but that's not true. Other royal family members do not have around-the-clock protection in the UK. Andrew forfeited his state-funded security when he withdrew from royal duties in 2019. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie do not have security because they're not working royals. They did once have police protection, but it was withdrawn by Queen Elizabeth in 2011. Zara Tindall also does not have police protection because she's not a working royal, but Princess Anne, Prince Edward, and even Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, and they're among the royals who do not have around-the-clock security either. These are the brothers and sisters of the king, and they only get protection when they're carrying out official duties. So, Harry wants protection that Andrew, Beatrice, Eugenie, Zara and Mike, Anne, Edward, Sophie, and Peter Townsend don't get, but he feels that he should get. Going back now to his interview, a lot of the palace aides are saying that Harry has literally lost touch with reality. He's deluded, he's desperate, and he thinks that spilling family woes on global TV will somehow prompt peace. It's not how it works. And according to the news article, they have now revealed that King Charles and William have shut down multiple attempts for Harry to try to force a reconciliation for well over a year. Apparently, he's tried to use former courtiers of his father and brother and pals from partying and polo days to open a conversation, and it's been immediately shut down. Now, I want to say a big thank you to the Princess Catherine fan on Twitter for finding all of these symptoms of people that are paranoid narcissists, because let me tell you something, Harry fits into each one of these categories: sense of entitlement, need for admiration, arrogance, lack of empathy. Every single thing that Harry has is on this list. On Twitter, there's HRH Kathy California, and she pointed out that Harry doesn't have PTSD. Harry learned early on to play the victim, that it brought him attention, and so he has adopted this behavior. When you're talking about PTSD or a learned behavior, one is trauma and one is about getting sympathy. Harry uses learned behavior to gain sympathy and avoid blame. It's not trauma, it's a tactic, and I completely agree. Harry has made his professional living for the last few years as a martyr. Now, with all of this going on, people are now really urging King Charles to strip the titles from Harry and Meghan. Just remove everything already. I've already said before that I felt that the titles should have been gone when everything else was taken. And in case you didn't know it, Harry's constant use of his mother's memory to justify his behavior has now damaged her memory and her reputation. In the middle of all this, Robert Hardman, he is a Daily Mail journalist, and he's the one who wrote the book Charles III, The Inside Story. He has said that Harry's perception that his father doesn't care about him is far from the truth. And his claim, however, that Charles could step in to end the legal dispute over his security is false. And we all know the reason that Charles can't speak to Harry is not because of the legal disputes. It's because of a trust issue. Now, according to him, there can be no reconciliation between Charles and Harry until Harry drops his litigation and stops speaking publicly about the feud with his family. And I got to tell you something, I find this to be a little bit karma, because isn't it Meghan's father who so badly wants to talk to Meghan, and Meghan refuses to speak to him and won't answer the phone and won't let him meet the grandchildren? And now here you are with Harry, who wants to speak to his father, and his father is not taking his calls and not answering the phone. Harry is getting the same treatment now from his father that Meghan gave to her father. I've told you guys before, karma, it's a thing. Harry waged war against his father for years, and is this the most humiliating court defeat yet? I'm gonna say, yes it is. You know, I wondered why he did this, and according to Neil Sean, he has advisors, he pays them, he doesn't listen to them. His attorney was there, which is why he keeps looking off to the side, and there's many jump cuts. But bottom line, according again to Neil Sean, the BBC paid Harry for this interview, and that was done to offset his huge court costs. Now, Mark Dolan had something to say about this interview that was spot on, so listen to this.
That's it, folks. It is game over. Prince Harry, the world's least happy millionaire, has reached the end of the road with his own father, King Charles. If you thought the explosive Netflix documentary series, the Oprah TV interview, and the book Spare had badly damaged Prince Harry's relationship with his family, then his latest car crash interview with the BBC is without doubt the final nail in the coffin. And it's my understanding that King Charles is apoplectic with rage about this latest intervention. He's embarrassed, he's upset, and he's angry. And therefore, any hope of a reconciliation between father and son is now gone forever. And as always, Harry wants to blame absolutely everyone except himself. But it seems the king, who has got to be the most patient father on the planet, has had enough. He's reportedly furious about what's happened and sees no way back with the H-bomb. Harry, the man known by his toxic wife as my husband. And it seems that Harry's flippant and heartless remarks about King Charles's life expectancy were the final straw. Comments which royal insiders have described as profoundly offensive, in very poor taste, and personally devastating to the king. And be clear that Charles's rage will be nothing compared to that of his brother William, who I doubt will ever speak to Harry again.
Now, Harry said something else in his interview that I wanted to make sure that you heard, so listen to this.
Relationship has changed with the UK. Do you feel let down by your country?
At this point, I'm feeling very let down. It's the minority of people, especially those that read the tabloids and the press themselves. The press themselves have incited so much hatred towards myself, my wife, and even our children. That's hard to forgive.
So this is the basic problem. Harry refuses to acknowledge that he's been calling the royal family racist or anything else, or even say two words that are so important. And this was also brought up by the BBC. Listen to this.
What did you think when you saw that interview? Well, what I thought was that after 5 years, Harry is still at war with his original mistake. And every time he goes on the air, he makes another one. So it's like he is now trapped in this terrible cycle of doubling down on the original mistake. He was told so clearly when he was considering leaving by the palace at that time, the security won't be paid for anymore. He was told it again and again. He didn't want to hear it. He didn't want to listen to it. I think he thought he could just blow it off and in his reckless, sort of hot-headed Harry Hotspur way, charged out of the royal family with all of these issues completely unresolved. There was no way that this court was going to go against the findings of the security, the police. They're not going to go against that. And they're not going to go up against the police, against the royal family or the police. And secondly, I didn't hear two very crucial words in that entire sort of Jeremiah about, I'd like to reconcile was, I'm sorry. I mean, he never said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I caused my family all of this pain. That is really what they're upset about, not the security.
Now let's go back to the BBC a minute. Remember, they did this interview with Harry. They paid him for it. And BBC Radio 4 also discussed Harry's interview the following day and spoke to a former close protection officer. But the broadcast was forced to issue a statement on its corrections and clarifications page. It says, quote, "The program covered the latest developments in the story of Prince Harry and his legal case around protection for him and his family in the UK and interviewed former close protection officer Richard H. to get a broader understanding of security considerations." Claims were repeated that the process had been an establishment stitch-up and we failed to properly challenge this and other allegations. This case is ultimately the responsibility of the Home Office and we should have reflected their statement. Oh my. So the BBC got slanted in their coverage and they called themselves out. Well, okay. Now, I just want to point out two things to you. Number one, Meghan's interview dropped the evening of William and Catherine's wedding anniversary, and Harry did his interview on Princess Charlotte's birthday. Also, a reminder, Harry told everybody his family was cold, cruel, uncaring, and racist. So why would anybody want to reconcile with a family like that? Unless, of course, it was all lies. And one more thing, Harry said, if anything were to happen to my father's grandchildren, if that ain't pulling the strings, he's trying to manipulate his father. It's just so ill. Now, something else that's come out, and we talked about it previously, but I'm bringing it up again. Prince Harry got a Deliveroo during an evening at a friend's house on his recent trip to London, even though he told the court his life was at stake and he can't bring his family back to the UK without tax-funded cops, right, with guns. But remember, and this is really important, he was offered a place to stay at the palace and he said no thank you. And instead he goes to stay at a friend's house, the same friend that was at his wedding. Now understand that very famous people avoid these kinds of deliveries. It's unsafe. You don't allow a stranger to arrive at a house with no idea who they are and what they might be carrying in their bag. But yet you can still go to a friend's house and allow a driver to turn up at the door, but then you have the audacity in your interview to moan about your lack of security. He's just, a hypocrite. Remember, Harry skipped his friend's wedding in London over security issues, but yet he allowed a delivery driver to come up to the door. You get the point? All right, you guys, you know what to do. Hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. And then down in the description box, you'll find the links to my Twitter, Gettr, Rumble, email, Amazon wishlist, my father's book, which is up for sale, and a link to my second channel, as well as a physical address. For those of you who've donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.